Hi, everybody. This is David Nevins for Citybiz List. Welcome to our program, and I'm thrilled today to be able to have as our guest Jonathan Schwartz, the Executive Director of the Lyric Theater in downtown Baltimore. Jonathan, welcome.
Well, thank you, David, for having me. It's an honor to be here and to be on City Business.
That's great. So, Jonathan, I understand that the Lyric Theater, I want to get this right, is the longest continuously running theater, or at least one of them in North America.
Yes.
What does that mean? Tell us a little bit about the history of the Lyric, and then kind of transition into today, and where everybody knows that the last year with COVID hasn't obviously been your proudest, I'm assuming.
Yes, well, thank you for the question. The Lyric has been in continuous operation since October 31st of 1894, so 127 plus years. And we've always been in operation. There are other theaters that have stopped what they were doing and pivoted to other things and then been reinvigorated as theaters. But we have been in continuous operation that whole time. One of the great things about that is the acoustics at the venue were built at a time when there was no amplification. So if you stand on that stage, and we hear this from performers all the time, how wonderful the acoustics are in the building because they were designed for that time when you would have singers. Certainly when the building first started, there was a lot of opera, there was a lot of symphony, those kinds of things. There were also the first ever cooking television show demonstration was at the Lyric. There have been all sorts of things that have happened on that stage, from comedians through all sorts of musical performers, ballet, you name it, it's been on that stage. And so the history of the theater is rich, and it's been part of Baltimore, again, for 127 years. The original theater is still there, and it's been a great asset, we feel, to Baltimore. Now, obviously, we survived the Spanish flu, and we're going to survive COVID. And it's been a challenge that we've not had any performances on our stage since the middle of March of last year. And we certainly are anxious and looking forward to the time, hopefully later this year, when we are able to bring the people of Baltimore and Maryland and the whole region back to the theater for the world-class entertainment in our world-class venue that they've come to know and expect. And we're working on doing that safely and smartly, and working with our partners in the industry, because there are a ton of performers who are anxious to come out and perform for the public. Because obviously, if the performers are at home, they're not making money. And obviously the theater, we're anxious to bring back our staff and all the help the businesses that surround us, because we are certainly an economic hub in that Midtown Station North area. If we bring more than 2,000 people to a performance, they eat in the restaurants, they shop, some of them stay in hotels nearby. So we know how important it is for us to come back strong with a great productions to help not just ourselves, but to help Baltimore and to help our economy, local economy, to survive and thrive.
That's great, Jonathan. I guess I know you're hopeful to perhaps by this fall be back up and running with some great performances. Would I be testing your memory too much? I know this is not your personal memory, because you're nowhere near the age of the Lyric to maybe run through some of the superstar performances that have graced the stage of the Lyric over the years.
Oh, absolutely. We have had, depending on the category, if you're just looking at comedy, you've had everyone from Jerry Seinfeld to Dave Chappelle in recent years. We've had Steve Martin and Martin Short. People like that have all been on the stage from comedy. Many of the great opera singers of history, from Rosa Ponselle on through, have been on our stage. We've had so many rockers. We had the Grateful Dead on our stage. We've had Jill Scott, Diana Ross. We've had great rock bands like Kansas has been there. There's so many that that have been on that stage and will continue to come and perform. But we've had indie rock singers like a Jason Isbell. We've had Alice Cooper put on an amazing show at our venue. We've had something forever. And I always say that we put on I'll say we do 100 shows in a year. There are going to be 95 that are not for you, but there are going to be 5 that are for you, and your 5 are going to be different from someone else's 5. Someone might be coming to go with their kids to see a Disney Junior or a Sesame Street Live, and someone else might be coming to see something like Dancing with the Stars or Master Chef Junior, a television-oriented thing. Other people will be coming to see comedy. Other people will be coming to see classic rock or R&B, or even we've had Kirk Franklin, for people like that, and Lauren Daigle, more of a Christian audience. So there's been just an amazing diversity of performers on that stage. And that is our goal, is to continue to provide that wide range, something for everyone, so that you will find your show at our venue.
That's great, Jonathan. I know that in addition to the great performers on stage, past and those that will come in the future, you also, correct me if I'm wrong, view yourself as an educational organization for the kids in the Baltimore metro area. Can you talk about that a bit?
Absolutely. That's very critical and at the heart of what we do. So the Lyric Theater, everyone knows for the performances, but we are really a not-for-profit, and we have 3 main functions. One is to maintain the historic 127-year-old theater. Second is obviously to put on world-class entertainment for the people of Baltimore, Maryland, and the whole region. But the third is to provide educational programming for young people in Baltimore. We've particularly focused on middle schools, as that has been an area. There are a lot of people who are involved in different areas of education. We've found that the middle school area is an underserved population in Baltimore. We work with Baltimore City Public Schools. We also work with after-school programs in the community and other arts organizations in the community to provide excellent instruction. For example, we have our Dream Big essay contest that we've run for several years now, where students from throughout the region can supply essays or videos to talk about their inspiration. We founded it with Dr. Martin Luther King's vision of I Have a Dream, and students talk about their dreams. And then we have an annual event, which unfortunately had to be moved to virtual instead of in person, but it's still an opportunity to recognize 10 students from throughout the region, for them to be lifted up, and they receive a prize, an award for it, and they get an opportunity to have that positive feeling that, hey, my work is worthy. We're really focused on giving voice to people. One of the things that we have found for young people is making sure that they feel that they have a voice, that their voices are heard, whether it's through our improv classes, our playwriting classes, again, our after-school programs, our Rising Up performances, where we work with students during the school year and then ultimately culminate that, or have culminated it, with a performance on the historic Lyric stage. So many young people, when they get to do a performance, it might be at their school, but the chance to really perform on a stage that has had so many historic performers on it is really eye-opening for young people, and really gives them hopefully a strong sense of worth and value, because that's really what we're trying to impart with them, is giving them voice, giving them self-confidence, and giving them the strength to be all that they can be going forward. And obviously many of them are in difficult circumstances, and we want to make sure that we give them the strength and help that we can through our nonprofit work and our Lyric Education Fund.
It's really wonderful to hear, Jonathan. So important today. I remember growing up, I grew up in the Washington, D.C. metro area. And among my fondest, school or education-related memories were those involved with, what in those days were called sort of field trips to the Kennedy Center or the National Theater. I remember seeing Leonard Bernstein and the National Theater and the Symphony Orchestra, and it's wonderful to see so much of that still occurring in Baltimore. I know, no pun intended, it's a little bit of a lost art, providing arts education to and cultural education to kids today.
Yes, unfortunately, one of the things that in the time crunch at schools and budget cuts, the arts is not always as fully funded as we'd like to see, is particularly in our public schools. So we feel that our mission to help those students is filling a gap and a need to give a more well-rounded education to young people in Baltimore and beyond.
That's great. And I know, Jonathan, you probably, no offense intended, but you probably haven't been working your typical 12-hour days or 14-hour days as you might when performances are live. And I know that you as the executive director of the Lyric are really proud to have volunteered your own services for education and youth programs this past year as well.
Yes, so certainly our staff has been engaged in programs to try and work with students, and personally, the board has allowed me to spend some time working with the Student Support Network, doing food distribution in Baltimore County at Owings Mills High School, where we serve approximately 1,200 people a week distributing food on a Wednesday morning. It's a great organization, and there's so many great organizations throughout Baltimore and Baltimore County and Maryland, and who have stepped up and tried to fill this void. And I feel very fortunate to be able to be on the side where I'm, to help people by helping to distribute the food, because there are so many that are on the other side that are in need. And so, that spirit of nonprofit giving is what we do as the Lyric through the arts, but also it's something that personally I find very important. And I encourage all people to find those couple of hours or find that pathway that they can in their lives to give back. And you get so much out of giving back. It's not, it's some people think, oh, how are you spending those couple of hours doing that? But it really enriches your soul and makes you feel like you're making a small difference in people's lives who are struggling through no fault of their own, through the difficulties through the COVID pandemic.
Well, good for you, Jonathan. I couldn't agree more. Jonathan, I understand that the Lyric is about to undergo a name change, although you're going to remain the Lyric. So could you explain that to our viewers? Absolutely.
So for the past 10 years, we had been the Modell Lyric, and we had a wonderful relationship with Art and Pat Modell. They did wonderful things. They helped support a backstage renovation. And so for 10 years, the building had their name on it, and we will always appreciate their support. And now it's time that contribution was recognized. We're going to be moving on and looking to the philanthropic community of Baltimore for a new sponsor to help support the important critical mission that we had. The building's been there for 127 years. It's had many different names, many different benefactors, and this is just part of the natural evolution of the building. But we will always thank and appreciate Art and Pat Modell for their support of the building, and they will certainly continue to be fondly remembered and honored by the Lyric, by our foundation, and by the staff. And we are grateful for their many years of support.
Yeah, that's great, Jonathan. I knew the Modells personally, and such a wonderful family, and I know they were so helpful to the Lyric in so many ways. Mm-hmm. And I guess I'll help you here with this is a call out for those big time philanthropists and cultural art lovers in the community to participate in some way, shape, or form with the wonderful future of the Lyric by getting a hold of Jonathan if you're so inclined. Hey, Jonathan, just in the minute or so that we have left, mm-hmm. I kind of want to. I like to end with more of a personal question, so I'm going to ask you like a two-part question. One is sure. Maybe to share with us which of the performances in the Lyric that you were there for was your favorite, mm-hmm. and then during this pandemic, we like to make sure that our guests are able to support one or two of their favorite local businesses. So you might give a shout out to a local restaurant or two, or a local business that you hope that people are able to help during this pandemic.
Absolutely. So in terms of favorite performances in the 3 years that I have been there, certainly from a musical point of view, there's a singer called Jason Isbell in the 400 unit, who I did not know before he came to the Lyric, and I've now seen 3 times and had tickets to see another time, but COVID shut that down. So I highly encourage you. A brilliant songwriter, singer-songwriter. His band is fantastic. So Jason Isbell. I also loved on the comedy side, Dave Chappelle was amazing. The energy, the comedy, the social commentary. he was fantastic, attracted such an amazing audience and an amazing aura around him. And then as also loved when Steve Martin and Martin Short were there. That was very funny too. So we really enjoyed all of that. And then in terms of a couple of local businesses, so our nearest neighbor at the Lyric is the Brass Tap right there on Mount Royal Avenue. And they are always great and supportive of our business. We go there for lunch more than anywhere else. We we know that they've been working so hard to stay in business throughout the pandemic without, with MICA not being open, the University of Baltimore not being open, the Associated, the Lyric, all their neighbors, and I know how hard they've worked. So I'd encourage everyone to go have a pint and a bite to eat at the Brass Tap. And then locally where I live, Harriman House in Reisterstown has been a staple of our community forever, and they've stayed in business, and they've been one of the places we've made sure to get takeout from on a regular basis or eat outside in their tents, because they're a long-standing local business and we want to keep them going. And I encourage everybody to support your local restaurants, your local businesses, and keep them going, because we will get through this, and we want to have great communities where we can live and raise families and continue to thrive. And we live in such a great area and a great region, and we want it to be the best it can be. And supporting businesses, local businesses, is a great way to make a difference every day.
Well, thank you, Jonathan, for being our guest. And I think I speak not only for myself, but for so many of our viewers in saying that we can't wait to get back to the Lyric. And we're really excited to see who you're going to be booking for the fall and into 2022. So good luck with that. Our guest, thanks, Jonathan. Our guest was Jonathan Schwartz, the executive director of the Lyric Theater, and this has been David Nevins for Citybiz List. Thank you for joining us.